When my grandmother gave me a $150 million hotel, my mother-in-law and my husband both immediately declared, "Tomorrow, we will take charge of the hotel. If you object, you will be divorced." Right then and there, I burst into laughter and imagine getting the most incredible gift of your life, a $150 million luxury hotel. Now imagine your own husband and mother-in-law, within minutes, trying to steal it from you. Their words still echo, "Tomorrow, your husband and I will take over that hotel." You know nothing about business. But what they didn't know. My grandmother had another surprise coming, one that would leave them absolutely speechless. It was my 27th birthday, and we were at the Allian Garden, this ridiculously opulent restaurant. Crystal chandeliers sparkled, a classical piano played softly, the kind of place where you practically whisper. I was dressed up, feeling a bit out of place, to be honest. Across from me was my husband, Michael, handsome in his designer suit, but glued to his phone as usual. Next to him, his mother, Sharon, dripping in pearls and gold, her every movement a calculated flash. And beside me, my rock, my grandmother, Eleanor. She had this quiet strength, an elegance that commanded the room without a single word. This whole dinner was her idea. But let me tell you, it was awkward. Sharon had never liked me. In her eyes, I was just a stay-at-home wife, utterly without ambition, lucky to have snagged her successful son, Michael. What they conveniently forgot was that my grandmother had actually funded Michael's so-called successful import-export firm. Halfway through dinner, Sharon, mid-lobster bite, piped up with a backhanded compliment that felt like a punch. "Chloe, for someone who's home all day, you certainly keep yourself in good shape, don't you?" Michael gave a weak "Mom, please." I just plastered on a fake smile, trying to swallow the bitterness. "Thank you, Sharon. I guess I just move around the house a lot," I managed, my voice tight. All the while, my grandmother, Eleanor, just watched. Her sharp eyes missed absolutely nothing. Then, after dessert, Grandma Eleanor cleared her throat. The piano actually seemed to quiet down, as if the whole room was holding its breath for her. "Today, we're celebrating my granddaughter, Chloe's birthday," she announced. Her voice was soft, but it filled every corner of that opulent room. 27 is a special age. An age where a woman knows what she wants and is ready for great responsibilities. Sharon subtly rolled her eyes. "Bored," she muttered. Michael just smiled, probably picturing another cash envelope, or a new watch headed my way. But then Eleanor pulled something out of her purse. It wasn't a jewelry box. It wasn't car keys. It was a thick, mahogany leather portfolio. She slid it across the table to me. "Chloe, my hands," she said, so gently. My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside were legal documents, deeds, stacks of papers. And right there, stamped on the first page, was a name, the Eleanor Grand Hotel. "Grandma, what is this?" I whispered, my heart starting to race. "Your birthday present, my girl," Eleanor confirmed. "It's the new hotel downtown. All in your name. Valued at about $150 million. Silence. Deafening, absolute silence. A waiter dropped a spoon across the room, and it sounded like a gong. I was frozen. My eyes were wide, darting from the documents in my hands to my grandmother's calm face. Tears welled up. This wasn't just a gift, this was insane. I turned to Michael, and his reaction, that was something I'd remember forever. His face went from pale to a deep, angry red. His jaw clenched. The phone he'd been clutching fell into his lap, but his gaze wasn't on me. It was fixed, burning, on his mother. Sharon's expression? Even worse. Her fake smile had completely vanished, replaced by undisguised shock. Her mouth hung open. The glint in her eyes wasn't happiness for me. It was pure, unadulterated greed, shock, and anger, as if this magnificent gift was a personal insult to her. "Congratulations, Chloe," Sharon rasped, the first to break the tension. The word generous was practically spat out. Michael quickly picked up his phone, then forced out a laugh, a fake, unnatural bark. $150 million? Ha! Grandma, are you serious? This is incredible, honey. He grabbed my hand, but his grip was cold, too tight, like he was clutching a piece of property, not his wife. I was too overwhelmed to react. I just stared at my grandmother. Grandma, this is too much. I can't accept it. Eleanor placed her hand over mine, right there on the portfolio. You can and you will. It's time you had what you deserve. I trust you. The rest of dinner passed in a strange, tense haze. Sharon and Michael were suddenly silent, but I kept catching them exchanging quick, tense whispers whenever they thought I wasn't looking. The celebratory atmosphere had vanished, replaced by this suffocating tension. As we were leaving, I hugged my grandmother tight. I felt safe in her arms, but also this strange, inexplicable fear. She hugged me back, and whispered something so low, only I could hear it. Be careful, my girl. This gift is a test. A shiver ran down my spine. A test. My grandmother knew what was coming. The drive home was endless. Not a single word. Michael gripped the steering wheel, knuckles white, a silent rage radiating off him. In the back, Sharon just stared ahead, her lips pressed into a thin, cruel line. I clutched that mahogany portfolio to my chest like a shield, barely breathing. I tried to speak, to ask about the hotel. But Michael cut me off. We'll talk at home. His voice was flat, cold. A stranger's voice. Was this the real Michael? We lived in this massive house in a gated community, beautiful on the outside, but it never truly felt like mine. Every piece of furniture, every rule, even my daily schedule, had Sharon's fingerprints all over it. We pulled into the garage, and when the engine died, the silence was deafening. Inside, Michael ordered, like a superior to an underling. We walked into the living room, lights already on. Sharon didn't go to her guest suite. No, she marched straight to the main sofa, sat upright, like a queen about to preside over a trial. She dropped her expensive purse with a thud. Michael stood beside her, arms crossed, both of them staring at me. I felt like the accused, still clutching that portfolio, the evidence against me. Sharon spoke first, her voice stripped of any pretense of politeness. It's absolutely insane to give such an expensive toy to a child who knows nothing. The insult cut deep. Do you honestly think you can do anything with that hotel? She screeched. You can't even take care of your husband without my help. Michael just stood there, silent, letting his mother tear me apart. That hotel, Sharon continued, should be a family business. We can't let Chloe, who knows nothing, manage so much money. Finally, Michael spoke. He tried to sound like the wise mediator, but it was crystal clear whose side he was on. It's true, honey. My mother has more experience. This is for everyone's good. Think about it. We could expand the hotel. I could even leave my job and focus on it. Sharon's eyes gleamed. Good. Tomorrow, your husband and I will take over the hotel. I'll be the CFO, Michael will be the CEO. We're family, after all. Then she looked at me with pure disdain. You know nothing about business. It's more suitable for you to stay home and receive your monthly allowance. As I listened, a cold, hard anger ignited inside me. This wasn't about the hotel anymore. This was about my dignity, trampled on for years. Grandma's whispered words echoed in my mind. This gift is a test. I took a deep breath. I walked over and placed the portfolio on the table in front of Sharon, but I didn't let go. I looked my mother-in-law straight in the eye, then shifted my gaze to my husband. Oh, absolutely not, Sharon, I said. My voice was low but firm. Unwavering. The room went silent. Michael and Sharon looked stunned. They clearly didn't expect me to fight back. What did you say? Sharon's voice rose an octave. I said no, I repeated louder this time. That hotel is a gift to me. It's in my name. My grandmother, Eleanor, gave it to me. I clutched the portfolio again. I'm the boss now. I make all the decisions. I didn't know where this courage came from, but it felt incredibly liberating. Michael's face flushed crimson with rage. His docile wife talking back? Unthinkable. How dare you speak to my mother like that, Chloe? He roared. The money has gone to your head. I'm just defending what's mine, I replied calmly. It's my hotel. Michael's anger exploded. The mask of the good, patient husband shattered. Oh, you think you're so important now, the hotel owner? He stepped forward, pointing a finger in my face. Listen to me carefully. If you're going to act like this, if you refuse to be controlled by us, then we're getting a divorce. The threat hung heavy in the air. He was so sure I'd be terrified that I wouldn't dare lose my status as his wife. You want to be a divorcee? He sneered, a mocking tone. Who do you think will want a divorced woman like you? The word divorce hit me like a physical blow. My heart ached, but I didn't cry. Instead, I saw him for what he truly was. This was my worth in Michael's eyes. Sharon, seeing me still standing, felt a surge of triumph. She rose, her fury reignited. Insolent. Ungrateful. Shameless woman. You're nothing but a parasite in this family. She glared, pointing directly at the front door. Get out of this house tonight. Get out with your hotel and never come back. The room fell silent again, the echo of Sharon's scream hanging in the air. On my birthday night, I stood there, stunned, threatened with divorce by my husband, and thrown out of my home by my mother-in-law. And there I was, reeling, wondering how my life had spiraled so dramatically. If you're still with me through all this chaos, and trust me, it gets even crazier, please take a second to hit that subscribe button. You won't want to miss what happens next. Sharon's shriek still echoed in the silent living room. Out. My ears were ringing. I stood there, numb, looking at the two people who were supposed to be closest to me. The man threatening to make me a divorcee, the woman kicking me out of my own home. A cold, hard knot formed in my chest, replacing the sharp pain from moments before. I didn't even cry. I just looked at Michael, then at Sharon. And for the first time, I saw them. Two greedy, desperate people, their source of income now dwarfed by this new, terrifying threat, me, and my grandmother's immense wealth. Divorce, eviction, just weapons to get what they wanted. I opened my mouth, unsure what to say, what to do. Maybe I'd leave. Maybe I'd fight. I didn't know. But before I could utter a single word, a click echoed through the tense silence. The front door lock. It sounded like a gunshot. Click. The heavy door swung open. Michael and Sharon visibly recoiled. They expected me to be leaving, not someone coming in. There, standing in the threshold, was my grandmother, Eleanor. Behind her, two burly men in black suits, their faces impassive. Eleanor wasn't angry. She was calm. And that calmness was infinitely more terrifying than any rage in that room. She walked in, her flats making no sound on the marble floor. Grandma, my voice trembled, the first word I'd spoken since the threats. Sharon, recovering from her shock, immediately erupted in a fresh wave of fury. This was her house, her stage. Stay out of this, ma'am, she shrieked, her authority threatened. I'm disciplining this shameless daughter-in-law. She dares to talk back to her husband and mother-in-law. She lunged towards me, trying to grab my arm. And I'm kicking her out of my son's house. Eleanor simply raised a hand. A small gesture, just her palm extended. But it was enough to freeze Sharon in her tracks. Disciplining? Eleanor repeated, her voice low, razor-sharp. Kicking her out? She let out a small, dry, humorless laugh. Sharon, you can't kick the owner out of her own house. That statement hung in the air like a guillotine. Sharon frowned, utterly confused. What are you talking about, you senile old woman? Of course, this house belongs to my son. Michael bought it. Michael, who had been completely silent, began to sweat. He looked from his mother to Eleanor, then at me. He knew exactly what was coming. His face was ghastly pale. Grandma, please, he whispered. But Eleanor ignored him, her eyes fixed on Sharon. Your son Michael's house? She scoffed, using his name deliberately. Michael flinched. Have you never been honest with your mother, Michael? Or have you been living a lie for so long you've forgotten the truth? Eleanor slowly walked around the luxurious sofa Sharon had so proudly chosen. This mansion, this luxurious 3-story house in this exclusive community. Sharon, did you ever ask Michael how he managed a $3 million down payment when he'd only been working for 2 years? Sharon was silent, her eyes now glued to Michael, demanding an answer. Michael couldn't look at her. It was a bonus from the company, he stammered weakly. A bonus from the company? Eleanor laughed again. The company Michael works for, that successful import-export firm. Sharon, do you know who the real owner of that company is? Eleanor stopped in front of me, giving my trembling hand a gentle pat. That company, the luxury car Michael drives every day, and yes, even this house, it was all a wedding gift for Chloe. Long before the hotel. Everything is in Chloe's name. The truth hit Sharon like a freight train. She staggered backward, clutching her chest. No! It can't be! It's a lie! Tell me she's lying, Michael, she shrieked hysterically. But Michael just hung his head, his fists clenched. He couldn't deny it. His entire life of luxury, his pride as a successful man, was borrowed from my grandmother. He had merely been managing the assets of the woman he just threatened to divorce. Eleanor looked at Michael with icy contempt. And you, Michael? You just threatened my granddaughter with divorce, called her a divorcee, and insulted her. Eleanor gestured to one of the men behind her. It was Mr. Harrison, her lawyer, who stepped forward, opening a folder. What did you think? Eleanor continued, that after you threatened her, and your mother kicked her out, you could just keep the hotel? Mr. Harrison cleared his throat. Mr. Miller, Mrs. Miller, I am Mr. Harrison, legal representative of Mrs. Eleanor Vance. He used her full name, a stark reminder of her power. The threat of divorce or separation that Mr. Miller just uttered has been heard by more than 2 witnesses in this room. That already has legal standing and can be a solid basis for a divorce filing. Sharon's jaw dropped. Divorce? Who's talking about divorce? We didn't talk about divorce. Mr. Harrison looked at her, expressionless. My client's husband just yelled, We're getting a divorce. My client, Mrs. Chloe Miller, has accepted those words as an intention to divorce. No! Michael finally burst from his frozen state. I didn't mean it. I was upset. Chloe, honey, it was an outburst. Eleanor cut him off. It's too late. My patience has run out. For years I watched my granddaughter be belittled in her own home, treated like a maid. By you, Sharon. And betrayed by you, Michael, who, instead of defending your wife, followed your mother's greed. Eleanor looked at me. Granddaughter, bring that portfolio. Still in shock, I nodded and handed her the hotel portfolio. And now, Eleanor said, her voice calm once more. This is my granddaughter Chloe's house, and you two are unwelcome guests. Sharon was trembling, not with anger now, but with pure fear. You can't do this. This house is mine. Prove it, Eleanor challenged. Call the police. Show them the deed to this house. Oh, I'm sorry. I have the deed, and it's in Chloe's name. Hysteria erupted as Sharon realized every word was true. She stopped screaming at me and turned on her own son. Michael, why didn't you tell me? Why did you let me live this lie? She started hitting his chest uncontrollably. You said you were just a parasite, living off your wife. What kind of man are you, Michael? Michael, his pride utterly shattered, shoved his mother, sending her tumbling onto the sofa. This is all your fault, he shrieked, his face wet with sweat and tears of regret. Your fault for never being satisfied, always comparing me to others, pushing me to want more, making me greedy. There was a time when I loved Chloe. I loved her. Eleanor snorted. Your love was purely material, Michael. Sharon howled like a wounded animal on the sofa. She wasn't sorry for her mistakes. She was sorry for the luxuries she was about to lose. She clung to the table leg like it was her last possession. No! This house is mine. I chose these curtains. I chose this sofa. You can't take it from me, she screamed. It was pathetic. Disgusting. I had been frozen, but finally my voice returned. The pain in my heart had gone numb, replaced by a deep, dense disappointment. I looked at Michael, the man I once loved, the man who'd sworn to protect me at the altar. He seemed so small, so despicable now. So all this time, all your actions, all those sweet words, were because I was access to my grandmother's money? I whispered. Michael couldn't meet my gaze. He fell to his knees not before me, but before Eleanor. Grandma, forgive me. Grandma, I was wrong. Please don't take everything from me. Don't divorce us. I promise I'll be a good husband to Chloe. I'll stand up to my mother. I promise. Sharon shrieked. Ungrateful son. You're going to choose that woman over your own mother? Shut up, Mom. Michael yelled. Don't you realize we'll be on the street tonight? Mr. Harrison, ignoring their grotesque family drama, stepped forward again. Mr. Miller, Mrs. Miller. My client, Mrs. Chloe Miller, demands that you vacate her property immediately. Vacate? Sharon stood up again. It's night time. Where will we sleep? That is not my client's concern, Mr. Harrison replied dryly. You have threatened and expelled the rightful owner. Your status now is that of trespassers. Chloe, Michael crawled towards me, trying to grab my feet. Honey, please don't do this. This is our home. I recoiled, as if his touch could transmit poison. I looked at the man whose face I once adored, now twisted with hypocrisy. I remembered all the nights he praised his mother's cooking over mine. All the times he bought Sharon expensive purses while giving me permission to buy clothes on sale. And then, the divorce threat, the insult. I took a deep breath, looked at Eleanor, who gave me a silent nod of strength. Then I looked at Mr. Harrison. Mr. Harrison, I called out. My own voice surprised me. It was strong. Unwavering. Give them 15 minutes to collect their most important personal belongings. Michael and Sharon froze. The order came from me, not Eleanor. Chloe, you don't mean it, Michael moaned. 15 minutes, I repeated. The other man in the suit, a private security guard, will accompany you to your rooms to ensure you pack your things and don't take anything that isn't yours. Sharon, for the second time that night, actually fainted. Her eyes rolled back, and her body slumped to the floor. Michael panicked. Mom! Mom! Chloe, please! My mother has fainted. Call an ambulance. I looked at Sharon's slumped body, then at Michael. Grandma, do we have the number for 911? Eleanor smiled faintly. Mr. Harrison, handle it. The lawyer took out his phone. An ambulance is on its way. While they wait, Mr. Miller, your 15 minutes have already started. I suggest you start packing for yourself and your mother. Michael was torn between his unconscious mother and the threat of losing everything. He let out a howl of pure frustration. He ran upstairs, the sounds of things being thrown around echoing from what was once our room. The security guard followed him. I stayed in the living room. I didn't want to see that room again. Soon, paramedics arrived. At the same time, Michael came down with a large suitcase and his mother's small handbag. Sharon, who surprisingly regained consciousness as soon as they put her on a stretcher, started howling again. My things! My purses! My jewelry! The jewelry's in the bag, Mom, Michael whispered, utterly humiliated. They were escorted to the door. On the threshold, Michael stopped, turned, and looked at me. I stood tall beside my grandmother, clutching the hotel portfolio. His face was wet with tears, but they were not tears of remorse. They were tears of rage and defeat. Chloe, you'll regret this, he threatened weakly. I looked him straight in the eye. My voice was cold and sharp. You said I would become a divorcee. You were wrong. I will become a rich and free woman. And you, who threatened divorce in front of witnesses, will be left on the street. I nodded to the security guard. The door closed. The sound of the ambulance siren and Sharon's fading screams were the last I heard of them. I leaned against the door, my legs suddenly like jelly. I looked at Eleanor, and finally, Tears of relief and catharsis streamed down my face. The morning after arrived with an unsettling stillness. For the first time in 3 years of marriage, I woke up utterly alone in my bed. No gentle snoring from Michael beside me. No banging on the door from Sharon demanding breakfast. Just a cold, empty sheet on the other side of the bed. Sunlight pierced through the thick curtains, illuminating dust motes dancing in the silent air. The house, which had always felt suffocating and oppressive, now just seemed vast. Empty. I sat on the edge of the bed, hugging my knees. A huge weight had lifted, a deep sense of relief. But beneath it, a new fear gnawed at me. I was free. But what was I going to do with this freedom? I owned a massive house, a $150 million hotel, and yet I was still the Chloe who knows nothing about business, just as Sharon had sneered. I showered and dressed. When I walked downstairs, the smell of fresh coffee and toast greeted me. Grandma Eleanor was already at the dining table, calmly reading the morning paper as if the previous night's explosion had never happened. "Good morning, granddaughter," she said, folding the newspaper. "Did you sleep well?" I gave a faint smile and sat down. Our housekeeper, who'd been with the house long before I married Michael, placed a light breakfast in front of me, giving me a knowing smile. She definitely knew. "Grandma," I whispered, my voice barely audible. "I'm scared. I don't know where to start. The hotel, the business. I really don't know anything." Just like Sharon said. Eleanor put down her coffee cup and took my hand. "Do you truly think I would give a $150 million toy to someone who knows nothing?" She smiled, a mysterious glint in her eyes. "Chloe, do you remember 3 years ago, when I asked you to organize the accounting books for the charitable foundation, and you said they were too complicated?" "I remember, Grandma," I replied. "The reports were a mess, and you left them impeccable," Eleanor continued. "And do you remember last year, when I asked you to analyze investment proposals from 3 startups, and you said you didn't understand?" "I just chose the one with the clearest product, the one that made the most sense," I said. "And that company is now worth triple," Eleanor stated. "And remember when I asked you to review all the supplier contracts for our charities, and you discovered a 20% overbilling?" I fell silent. It was starting to click. I was beginning to understand. "I've been training you," Eleanor interrupted my thoughts. "I knew the true nature of Michael and his mother a long time ago. I knew this day would come. I couldn't give you a fortune without also giving you the weapons to protect it. It's not that you know nothing, Chloe. It's that you haven't yet realized how much you do know. You have a sharp business instinct. You are meticulous, and you are honest. That's more than enough." Grandma Eleanor's words ignited something within me. The fear didn't vanish entirely, but now it was overshadowed by a fierce determination. "Mr. Harrison will be here soon," she announced. "We're going to the Eleanor Grand. It's time for the owner to greet her employees." An hour later, a sleek black sedan pulled up to the imposing facade of the Eleanor Grand. Glass gleamed, reflecting the morning sun. My heart hammered in my chest. This was it. Flanked by Eleanor and Mr. Harrison, I walked through the magnificent lobby. All the staff bowed respectfully. They knew the new owner was arriving. I walked with my head held high, a simple but elegant outfit masking the whirlwind of emotions inside me. We headed straight to the main boardroom on the penthouse floor. A dozen impeccably dressed department heads stood as I entered. I took the main chair at the head of the table, Eleanor on one side, Mr. Harrison on the other. The tension was palpable. I could feel their eyes on me, curiosity, skepticism, even a touch of disdain. A young, seemingly meek woman was suddenly their boss. Mr. Harrison began, "Good morning, everyone. I present to you Miss Chloe Miller. She is the new owner and CEO of the Eleanor Grand Hotel." A middle-aged man, who looked like the general manager, cleared his throat. "Welcome, ma'am. I am Mr. Wallace, the general manager. All of us here are ready to help you adjust." That word, adjust, dripped with insinuation. I forced a smile. "Thank you, Mr. Wallace. I appreciate the gesture. Then my gaze swept across the room, meeting each manager's eyes. I won't beat around the bush. I know I'm new here, but this hotel is mine, and I intend to know everything that happens in it. My eyes landed on a man holding a tablet next to Mr. Wallace. Mr. Peterson, you're the finance manager, correct? He seemed surprised I knew his name. Yes, ma'am. I reviewed a brief financial report last night, I continued, surprising everyone in the room. I noticed a rather large new expense item in the last 2 weeks related to a company called Future Forward Consulting. Could you explain what this consultancy is for, and why a year's worth of fees was paid up front? Mr. Peterson instantly broke into a cold sweat. He hadn't expected me to catch that detail so quickly. Mr. Wallace shot him a sharp, warning look. It's a consultancy for operational efficiency, ma'am, Mr. Peterson stammered. Operational efficiency? I countered, my eyes, once soft, now sharp as a razor. But another report shows our operating costs increased by 5% last week. And as for Future Forward Consulting, I asked Mr. Harrison to check on it this morning. The company was registered only 2 weeks ago. The room went dead silent. Mr. Peterson's face went stark white. He was caught. Mr. Peterson, my voice was soft now, but laced with steel. I'm not here to make enemies. I'm here to protect my assets. I'll ask you one more time, who authorized this payment? Mr. Peterson swallowed hard, glancing at Mr. Harrison, then at Eleanor, who watched him unblinking. He knew if he lied, his career was over. Finally, he broke. I'm sorry, ma'am, he whispered, trembling. The order came from Mr. Miller. A collective gasp filled the room. Mr. Miller? I feigned confusion. What authority does my husband have in this hotel? He said he represented the owning family, Mr. Peterson continued, his shoulders slumped in resignation. He said it was to secure a portion of the assets before you took full control. He brought the contract and pressured me to process the payment that same day. He ordered me to create the fake consulting contract. This confession was a bomb. I felt a chill of cold victory. This was my first move. I looked at all the managers. As of today, I announced firmly, I am announcing a full external audit of all departments. And Mr. Peterson, thank you for your honesty. Please give Mr. Harrison all documents related to Future Forward Consulting and all correspondence with Mr. Miller. While I was taking my first steps as the owner, Michael and Sharon were experiencing their spectacular fall. The ambulance that took Sharon away the night before, after determining she was perfectly fine, billed them the full cost. They didn't have the cash. With what little was left in Michael's wallet, they ended up in a cheap, sleazy motel room on the outskirts of the city, smelling of stale cigarette smoke and mothballs. The ancient ceiling fan creaked overhead like a dying bird. Sharon sat on the edge of the bed, still in her expensive party dress, now dirty and wrinkled. Her eyes were swollen from crying, but the tears had dried, replaced by a simmering, poisonous anger. On the street. We're on the street, she hissed. This is all your fault, Michael. Your fault for being so stupid. Why didn't you tell me everything belonged to Chloe? Michael paced the tiny room like a caged lion, his face crimson. He just tried to access his salary account, frozen. His corporate credit card, declined. Eleanor had blocked everything. He truly had nothing. Shut up, Mom, he roared in frustration. You think I knew this would happen? I thought I had her under control. I thought if I threatened her with divorce she'd get scared. Turns out that old woman has brainwashed her. And now what? Sharon moaned. What are we going to eat? Where are we going to live? My jewelry, my purses. Everything's left in that house. Michael stopped pacing, his gaze landing on the old laptop he'd thrown onto the bed, the only valuable electronic device he'd managed to bring. A crazy, evil idea began to form in his mind. He still had one weapon left. Something very personal. You're right, Mom, Michael said, his eyes gleaming with cunning. We can't just give up. She's insulted us. She's humiliated us. It's time to bring her to her knees. Sharon looked at her son. What are you planning? Chloe can keep the hotel, Michael whispered. But I have her past. He opened the laptop, found an old, hidden folder. Inside were photos and videos from their honeymoon. Moments when I wasn't as composed as I was now. Photos of me on the beach in tank tops and shorts. Videos of us laughing in a hotel room, hair down, completely unposed. It wasn't pornographic, no. But for a woman now the CEO of a famous hotel, in the public eye, these photos could be a scandal. A humiliation that could destroy my reputation. You're her husband, Sharon whispered back, her eyes gleaming with malice, finally understanding. You have the right. Use it. Destroy her. Michael smirked. He opened a messaging app and sent a message directly to my number. You think you've won, don't you? You think you can throw my mother and me out like we're trash? You're very wrong, Chloe. He attached a photo, me, laughing by the pool, hair down. I have many photos from our vacations. Photos that show what a CEO's wife is really like. I'm sure your new managers would love to see this. Transfer 50% of the hotel's value to my new account in 24 hours, or everyone will see what a hypocrite you are. He hit send, leaning back, feeling utterly victorious. He was sure I'd be terrified. He was sure I'd do anything to protect my image. Back in the penthouse, I had just finished a marathon meeting with the audit team, tired but satisfied. My phone buzzed. I picked it up, expecting a message from Grandma Eleanor. My gaze froze on the screen. The photo. The memory. And the disgusting blackmail message beneath it. My stomach churned. Nausea rose in my throat. This was different. This wasn't about money. This wasn't about the house. This was about my honor. I felt exposed. I felt dirty. I felt exactly as Michael wanted me to feel, weak and scared. My hands shook uncontrollably. I burst into Eleanor's office, unannounced, my face pale. Grandma and Mr. Harrison were reviewing documents. Grandma, I whispered, thrusting the phone at her. Eleanor looked at the photo, then read the message. Her serene face hardened instantly. Wretch, she spat, a venomous whisper. Mr. Harrison read over her shoulder. Grandma, what do I do? Do I give him what he wants? I don't want those photos out there. I started to cry. No, Eleanor said, firm. We don't negotiate with terrorists. Mr. Harrison, though, seemed unnervingly calm. A faint smile touched his lips. Ma'am, please calm down, he said. Don't respond. Don't say anything. He pointed to my phone. He has just given us the greatest gift he could offer. Eleanor and I stared at him, confused. Your husband, Mr. Harrison continued, has just committed 2 serious felonies simultaneously, extortion, and a severe violation of privacy laws for attempting to disseminate private content without permission. If we had the evidence we have from Mr. Peterson about the attempted embezzlement of hotel assets, our position in the divorce and in any criminal proceeding is unbeatable. He just handed us the rope to hang himself with. My crying stopped. My fear began to transmute into a cold, hard rage. So, what should I do? I asked. We will file for divorce today, Mr. Harrison explained. And we will file a police report for this blackmail attempt. Let him wait for the transfer that will never come. Let him get nervous. In his panic, he's sure to make another mistake. I took a deep breath, looked at Mr. Harrison, then at Eleanor. I nodded. Do it, Mr. Harrison, I said, my voice now steady as stone. Use everything necessary. I don't want to see his face again, except in a courtroom. Back in that wretched motel room, Michael and Sharon were losing their minds. She's ignoring us, Sharon hissed, her broken nails drumming on the ancient wooden table. How dare she? How dare she stay silent after what you sent her? Michael felt a nauseating wave of frustration. His ultimate weapon hadn't worked. Or worse, I just didn't care. Meanwhile, armed with Mr. Peterson's initial information, the external audit team had descended on the hotel like surgeons, dissecting every layer of its operations. What they found was shocking. Michael's attempt to embezzle funds through a shell company was just the tip of a rotten iceberg. That shell company, Future Forward Consulting, was actually funneling monthly commissions into a private account belonging to Mr. Wallace's wife. Michael, in his hasty greed, had simply tapped into an existing system of corruption. He and Mr. Wallace? Two parasites feasting on the same body, my hotel. That afternoon, I called Mr. Wallace to my office. Mr. Harrison and two auditors were waiting. Mr. Wallace, I greeted him calmly. I wanted to ask you about our contract with Vega Foods. He tried to force a smile, but it was awkward, clearly terrified. Of course, ma'am. They are our best suppliers. Perhaps the best at overbilling, I retorted. The auditor presented a pile of evidence, inflated invoices, bank transfer records to his relative's account, and even the head chef's testimony about substandard products. Mr. Wallace's face went from pale to ashen. He knew he was finished. This is a misunderstanding, he stammered. This is theft, I interrupted, my voice icy. Mr. Wallace, you are terminated. Effective immediately and without severance. Mr. Harrison will proceed with a criminal complaint for embezzlement of company funds. Hand over your access card. He slumped in his chair. His downfall was so swift, so decisive, it sent a clear message throughout the entire hotel. The old era was over. Back in the motel room, the 24-hour deadline had passed. Michael, in a fit of blind rage, made his second fatal mistake. She thinks I'm kidding, he growled. He opened a new, anonymous social media account, posted another photo from his collection, blurry, just my back, hair slightly damp. The caption, curious to see the real face of the CEO of the Eleanor Grand Hotel? This is just the beginning. He tagged the hotel's location. Your time is up, Chloe. Get ready to be famous. He sent a new message to me with a link. But what he didn't know, Grandma Eleanor's digital security team was waiting for him. Within minutes, that account was mass-reported and suspended. The photo vanished before almost anyone could see it. That same evening, Mr. Morales, our private investigator, met with Eleanor again, a thin folder in his hand. As you suspected, ma'am, he said quietly. Sharon has serious problems. Gambling debts. Started small, then high-stakes poker. Lost a lot. Borrowed from loan sharks to cover it. Eleanor listened intently. What's the total principal she owes to 3 different lenders? Around $3 million, Mr. Morales reported. With interest, it could already be $4 million. I gasped, covering my mouth in shock. $3 million? She planned to use the hotel, Eleanor concluded. She wanted to turn my granddaughter's hotel into her personal ATM to pay off her gambling debts. There's more, ma'am, Mr. Morales continued. Those creditors aren't ordinary people. They gave Sharon a final deadline. That deadline was yesterday. They are desperately looking for her. Eleanor looked at the report. The motel address was right there. Mr. Morales had found them. They know Sharon has lost her source of money, he whispered. They won't be playing games. Eleanor was silent for a moment, then looked at Mr. Morales. Good. It's time for the creditors to know where she's hiding. The war was now launched on 2 different fronts. Early the next morning, Mr. Harrison, dressed in his finest suit, stepped out of his car in front of the city's police precinct. He carried a thick folder with an official complaint on my behalf: attempted extortion, serious privacy violations, defamation. The evidence was irrefutable: screenshots of Michael's blackmail messages, the private photo, the link to the now-closed social media account. The police, recognizing the prominent Vance name and the solid digital evidence, acted immediately. This was a priority case. An arrest warrant for Michael was processed instantly. At the same time, in family court, another of Mr. Harrison's legal teams was filing for divorce. The papers were even thicker, containing a full transcript of my birthday night with Michael's explicit declaration of divorce, witnessed by 3 people. Plus, the evidence of his attempted embezzlement, and as the final nail in that marriage's coffin, a copy of the police report for blackmail. I demanded a swift divorce, and that Michael have no right to a single cent of our marital assets, given his grave betrayal and criminal acts. The legal process, which normally takes months, was fast-tracked thanks to the surprisingly solid evidence. But there was a third, darker, lawless front. Eleanor made her move through Mr. Morales. An anonymous message was sent from a burner phone, short, precise, to a number known to belong to the lieutenant of one of the city's biggest loan sharks, Sharon Rose Motel, room 207, Hawthorne Avenue. With her son. The message sent, the phone was broken and thrown into a river. Eleanor washed her hands of it, and went back to her morning tea. The bait was set. Room 207 of the Rose Motel was pure hell. Michael and Sharon were screaming at each other, venomous words flying like daggers. "Idiot! Idiot!" Sharon shrieked, throwing a flimsy pillow. "Your plan completely failed. The account is gone. Nobody saw it. Now we have nothing. You've ruined everything." "I've ruined it?" Michael roared back, just as loud. "Look at yourself. If you hadn't been so greedy that night, if you had just kept your mouth shut, we could have slowly taken over the hotel. But no, you had to scream like a madwoman. You ruined everything. You dare blame your mother?" At the absolute peak of their argument, there was no knock. The door exploded off its hinges. Crack! 3 massive, rough-looking men stormed into the cramped room, the air instantly thick with the stench of alcohol and stale tobacco. Sharon let out a blood-curdling scream. She recognized the leader. "Chateau. Chateau," she stammered, trembling. The man called Chateau smiled, a gold tooth glinting. "Ah, we finally found you, Sharon. You've been hard to find. I thought you'd moved into a luxury house." His eyes swept the miserable motel room with utter contempt. "You owe us a lot of money." Michael, initially frozen in terror, tried to rally. "Hey! Leave my mother alone! Who are you?" Chateau turned to Michael, looking him up and down. "Oh, so this is your new investment, Sharon. This is your son, you said was so successful?" Another man shoved Michael against the wall. "So you're the son? Good. Then you'll pay your mother's debt." "What debt?" Michael stammered, his voice trembling. Chateau's eyes gleamed. He looked at Michael. "Ah, so that was the collateral. You have a hotel, huh?" "It's a lie!" Michael shrieked, pure panic in his eyes. Just as Chateau's man reached for Michael, the already broken door was knocked down again. This time, uniformed police officers poured in, shields up, guns aimed. "Police! Don't move! Drop your weapons!" Chaos erupted. The loan sharks were stunned. The police, too, they'd come for a blackmail suspect, but found 3 alleged loan sharks in the middle of what looked like a kidnapping. The armed thugs, only with pocket knives, immediately surrendered. They were cuffed. A police officer approached Michael. "Mr. Michael Miller, you are under arrest for attempted extortion and violation of privacy laws." The officer read the warrant. A second pair of handcuffs clicked shut on Michael's wrists. He looked desperately at his mother, who was now being questioned about her loan shark connections. She looked back at him with empty eyes. "Michael," Sharon moaned. "This is all your fault." Michael's anger and despair exploded. "It's your greed that has ruined us." Sharon didn't even get angry. She just laughed. A dry, desperate, broken laugh. "Ruined? Yes, Michael, we're ruined." The news broke that same afternoon. Family drama at Eleanor Grand, husband arrested for blackmail. Mother with $1 million debts to loan sharks. Karma was served cold and public. The divorce trial was a public spectacle. Since Michael's arrest, the media had swarmed, their cameras like a flock of vultures. I arrived promptly at 9 a.m. No hiding behind sunglasses. No masks. I stepped out of my car in an impeccable ivory pantsuit, walking with my head held high through the crowd. Beside me, my serene grandmother and Mr. Harrison with his thick briefcase. My eyes looked straight ahead, past the blinding camera flashes and the shouting journalists. I entered that courthouse not as a victim, but as the CEO of a company. Inside, the atmosphere was cold, formal. In the defendant's box, across from me, sat Michael. The contrast was stark, painful. No expensive suits, no luxury watches. Just an orange prison jumpsuit. His face was pale, unshaven, utterly defeated. The judge, a wise, middle-aged woman, began the trial. Given the overwhelming evidence and a pending criminal case, it was swift. Mr. Harrison stood up, his voice calm and clear. He didn't need to say much. He presented the evidence methodically, one piece at a time. Your Honor, we present our case based on the defendant's initial declaration of divorce. Mr. Miller consciously expressed his intention to divorce my client, Mrs. Chloe Miller, in front of 3 witnesses. Mr. Harrison called Eleanor, and one of the security men to testify under oath. Second, he continued, it is proven that the defendant committed a grave act of betrayal by conspiring with his mother, Mrs. Sharon Miller, to attempt to embezzle my client's assets. He presented a second file, Mr. Peterson's written testimony, and a copy of the fake consulting contract. And third, Your Honor, Mr. Harrison's voice grew graver. Even after being expelled from my client's property, the defendant proceeded to commit the crimes of extortion and violation of privacy laws. He presented a third file, the police report, screenshots of the blackmail messages, and the private photo. A gasp rippled through the courtroom. The judge read the documents, a deep furrow forming on her brow. She looked at Michael, her expression cold. Defendant, do you wish to refute this evidence? Michael trembled. He looked at me, his eyes pleading. My gaze met his, serene, devoid of hatred or love. Just emptiness. It's a lie, he mumbled. It's all a lie. She brainwashed me. She, from the back of the courtroom, Sharon shot up, screaming. He's right. That woman is a witch. She has brainwashed him. Chaos erupted. The judge slammed her gavel. Silence. Bailiff. Remove that spectator. Sharon collapsed back into her seat, trembling violently. Michael continued to ramble, Chloe, please don't divorce me. I love you. Don't ruin my life. But it was too late. The judge cleared her throat, looking at Michael with pure disgust. Defendant, not only have you failed as a husband, but also as a human being. The court's decision is as follows. 1. The divorce between Chloe Miller and Michael Miller is granted, effective immediately. The first bang of the gavel sealed it. 2. The judge continued, since this divorce is based on the grave fault and crimes committed by the defendant, it is declared that the defendant's right to any marital property is completely nullified. The second bang of the gavel was the final nail in Michael's coffin. He wouldn't get a single cent. In the back row, Sharon howled hysterically. She knew it was the end. Michael slumped, powerless, his handcuffs clinking. He was nothing. No wife, no house, no company, no fortune. All he had left was an orange prison jumpsuit and a criminal case waiting for him. I closed my eyes for a moment, taking a deep breath. I didn't feel victory. I felt freedom. I stood, gave a respectful nod to the judge, and turned. I walked out of that courtroom without looking back. I didn't need to see Michael being dragged away by guards. I didn't need to hear Sharon's wailing screams. Outside, the camera flashes erupted again. But this time, I stopped. I stood before dozens of microphones. Today, I said, my voice clear, broadcast across the country, justice has been served. The legal system has protected me. Thank you. A journalist shouted, Miss Miller, do you have any message for your ex-husband? I looked directly into the camera. He is no longer my husband. 2 years melted away. I wasn't just the owner of the Eleanor Grand anymore. My photo graced the covers of prestigious business magazines, not as a victim, not as a rich divorcee, but as the innovative CEO of the year. I had completely revamped the hotel's management, promoting the honest Mr. Peterson to CFO, building a team based on integrity, not nepotism. The Eleanor Grand wasn't just a hotel. It was a flourishing empire, now expanding with 3 new branches in Miami and Aspen. That day, I stood on a podium in the main ballroom of my hotel, addressing hundreds of VIPs, officials, and journalists. I wasn't wearing a rigid business suit. Instead, a modern, elegant pantsuit that radiated quiet confidence. I wasn't there to inaugurate a new building. I was launching the Eleanor Vance Foundation for Women. I am here, my voice resonated, clear and strong, not just as a CEO. I am here as a woman who once felt fear and helplessness. I was threatened. I was belittled. But I learned that our greatest strength isn't in the absence of fear, but in facing it. The room was silent, hanging on every word. This foundation will provide legal aid, business mentorship, and a safe haven for women who find themselves in situations where they feel they have no voice. Because every woman deserves to be the CEO of her own life. The room erupted in thunderous applause. In the front row, Grandma Eleanor watched me, her eyes shining with pride. I hadn't just passed her test, I had redefined it. Meanwhile, in a forgotten, sordid corner of the city, a scene of cruel irony unfolded. In the visiting room of a prison, thick with the smell of cheap disinfectant and despair, Michael sat behind a pane of glass. He was gone now, his gaze empty. The 5-year sentence for extortion and attempted fraud had completely broken what little spirit he had left. On the other side sat an old woman, holding the phone receiver with trembling hands. Sharon. Her hair was gray, her face etched with a bitterness that went far beyond age. She had lost her house, her social status, her son. After the loan sharks were arrested, their ledgers had implicated her, and she'd received a suspended sentence and a massive fine, which she was now paying off by scrubbing dishes in a greasy spoon diner. It's her fault. Sharon hissed into the phone, her voice raspy. That woman took everything from us. If you had just stopped blaming others, Mom, Michael replied, his voice dull, devoid of emotion. This is all because of your greed, too. A $3 million gambling debt. You were crazy. You dragged me into this hell. Ungrateful son! Sharon shrieked, banging on the glass. A guard immediately yelled, visiting time is over. The line went dead. Michael was dragged back to his cell. Sharon stumbled out of the prison, the smell of stale stew and sweat hitting her nose as she walked back to the diner. In the dirty kitchen, as she scoured a burnt pot with steel wool, the evening news came on the old TV in the corner. Sharon looked up, distracted. And there she was. A radiant, beautiful me. I was being interviewed about the launch of my new foundation. Miss Miller, you are an inspiration, the host gushed. Sharon froze. Her hand, holding the steel wool, stopped moving. She stared at the woman on the screen, the woman she once called ignorant, the woman she had kicked out. The woman who now had everything she had ever dreamed of. While she, Sharon, had nothing but a pile of dirty dishes and an eternal, gnawing regret. She didn't cry. Her tears had long since dried. What do you think? Was Michael and Sharon's downfall a justified consequence, or did they deserve a second chance? Let me know in the comments below. I truly want to hear your thoughts.